My name is Emily Kutok, and if you all didn't join our first session last week, I am a senior research assistant with Dr. Rani. I work on a handful of studies. One of them included this social media recruitment on Instagram, and so that's why we're talking about it today.
Hi everyone, my name is Paola Jimenez Munoz. I am also a research assistant on the Rani team, and I had the privilege of designing some ads when IDOF2 was potentially moving towards remote recruitment using Instagram.
Whenever
All
you're
right, so I don't think that anybody else is joining us, but Emily, if you could keep an eye out on see if anybody else is coming in. Thanks so much again for joining. This is part 2. A quick little overview of some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to do a brief walkthrough or a little demo of navigating the Canva app or the Canva graphic design platform. And then Emily's going to spend some time also walking folks through the Facebook Manager platform. We're also going to leave some time for questions at the end, as well if any folks have any ads that they would like some feedback on, we're also going to leave some time for that. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, leave them in the chat, or save them towards the end. But thanks again for joining us today. So first things first, brief overview. It's important that when you start your ad creation process, right, you have a public domain or publicly owned image. We recommend using websites such as Unsplash, in which you can find these high resolution type photos. You can navigate using the search bar and include any keywords that are related to the types of ads that you'll create. And then we're going to move on to the Canva website, and I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen, navigating the app. Can everybody see it? All right. So this is what the homepage looks like. Right now we have an account, right, with the CDH, and we're also working on Canva Pro, which unlocks a bunch of other different features that you could use and access when creating your designs. But basically, if we navigate here up top in the Create a Design button, you can see that you have multiple options of the different types of designs that you can create. In our case, we're going to be creating Instagram posts today. However, you do have options to create physical flyers or physical posters, as well as Instagram stories. And just like a disclaimer, right, there's a difference between Instagram posts and Instagram stories with the size and dimensions of the ads themselves, and as well as the period of time that they're going to be exposed or presented on the social media platform. So Instagram stories are only available for 24 hours and they, delete, or you can't see them after 24 hours. And then the Instagram post is actually permanently on your page. So like I said, we're going to create an Instagram post. I already took the liberty of creating one for us. But really quickly, how I used to create this, it's pretty easy to navigate, right? Using the toolbar here on your left. I uploaded the media that I had saved from unsplash.com. I dragged that onto my canvas using the text option. I also added a couple headers, right? A couple captions that we had found were helpful, and they gave us good feedback that were actually useful. There's a variety of different predefined templates in terms of your fonts that you can use. And I use this one here to create this big ad, but you also have the option of, creating your own captions and customizing your fonts, as well as colors and other things like that. Utilizing these functions right here. An important thing that we recommend, and also I think IRB is probably going to ask for you to include in your ads, is a message saying that this research study is affiliated to Rhode Island Hospital and the Center for Digital Health in our case, and also adds a way, adds some sort of uniformity and also legitimacy across your ads, just so folks know that, we're not a scam. We're not trying to scam anyone. Some other features that we suggest and look pretty cool and also seem to have been, good and to include. There's this animated GIFs that you can add. You can also include navigating here in the toolbar, you can include audio, which also increases the vibe. I know social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram do have like audio features, so you can include audio in them. But yeah, it's pretty simple after this. You can download your ad here and you can store them on your personal computer or whatever device you're working on. And they're really easy and accessible to keep and upload onto other platforms. So I'm going to hand it off to Emily now. She's going to walk folks through Facebook Manager. But before, are there any questions in terms of using Canva as an ad? I mean, as a design platform. I'm also happy to answer any questions via email. At the end, we have a slide with our contact information just in case folks have any questions. But yeah.
Can I ask a couple of quick questions?
Yes, of course.
Cool. So my coworker attended the first one, but I wasn't able to make it. And then, so she had mentioned something along the lines of like 25% or less should be text. Is that a recommendation or is that like a Facebook rule?
Emily, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, for sure. So that is actually a Facebook rule.
Okay.
They don't want more than 25. I think it's actually 20% of your image to be covered in text.
Okay.
So that's like kind of an arbitrary number, but
Yeah.
in terms of like figuring out what that actually means, they do have some examples on the business like manager support page if you want to like look that up. Like I think you could just type in like 20% of text on image or in the ad section. But in terms of like troubleshooting, what we suggest is like either like making your font smaller if you have like already IRB approved language that you know may take up more than 20% of the image. Or what we did is when we wanted to include like a headline and like a tagline, we used two images. So utilizing the carousel feature of the ads. So our like headline said like help us learn about social media, and then in the second image it said like participate in our study. And then we also on the first image said like take the survey just in case somebody didn't swipe to the second one. So that's a good way of like including more words on your images without having them take over the first image.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. And so the one that you guys showed just now, where like the text was overlaid on top of the image, that one, I guess, is like fits that requirement you guys outlined vaguely.
Yeah, so that was just like an example. I think Paula made like the text larger so that you guys could read it from your computer screen. But yeah, I would say that like as an example, say like the first like half an inch of the image shouldn't be covered with more text than that. That's usually like what our so like let's say like a little line at the top and maybe a little line at the bottom. We can show you guys examples of like images that are actually on our Facebook Manager platform once I like get onto that, so you can see like a better example of like what has been approved in the past.
Cool. My very last question, then I'll let you go to Ad Manager, I promise. Thank you. Is do you guys have any sense of what works better with regards to having, like I noticed it was just text over an image, but I know you can also do like a banner, like or like a diagonal banner, things like that. Any thoughts about one versus the other, or just like stylistic preference?
Honestly, I think that's a stylistic preference. You could try multiple of them. So like when I show you Manager, you'll be able to see that I'll have like multiple ads within my campaign. So you could like pit ads against each other to see which one performs best with participants, or you could just decide that you want to go in a certain direction, like stick with that. But in terms of like what our ads looked like, we had the text on the image and then we also had the text in the caption part of it. So just in case somebody wanted to read all of the text together, we had that like double in both. But for the most part, I think that our like text on the images worked pretty well.
Cool. I'll let you get to your rest of your presentation.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? Those are great.
I think I'm good for now. I think so.
Okay, awesome. So I will now share my screen. All right. So this is what the Facebook Manager platform looks like. And so the first step before you kind of get to this point is to actually create a Facebook page. So if you're using Facebook and Instagram, this is what you'll be using. If you're using like Twitter or other social media sites, it'll be slightly different. And unfortunately, we haven't had experience with that in the past. So that's why we're going to be talking about Facebook and Instagram today. But the first step would be to create a Facebook business page for your study. So we created a page that's actually called Impact because that's what our first like study was. And even though we evolved into a different name study, our page still says Impact, and that's okay. We changed our profile picture to the new logo, but since we were posting on Instagram, it wasn't as much of a problem that our Facebook page didn't have the right name, but you could definitely customize your Facebook page with the name of your study and any of the images and stuff that you want to include on that page. So then when you get to that part, you'll log into your actual personal Facebook because if you're the admin of the Facebook page, that's how it works. And then once you get into there, you can create a campaign. So in this campaigns section of the Facebook Manager, actually it's underneath the ads manager. So that'll be kind of your main form of like utilizing this. You're going to go to ads manager. And then you can create a campaign here. Since I already have a bunch of campaigns, I actually just duplicated one of them, and I'll just run you guys through what the settings are that we use it. But when you start out, you will likely have to click the create button. So the first page that it'll bring you to is your general campaign settings. So here you can change the name of your campaign to whatever makes sense to you. And then you can also choose the campaign details. So in the first session, we talked about the different campaign objectives. And here is where we selected the traffic objective because the traffic designs targets your ad towards people who have clicked on ads in the past and have like loaded the website. So that's why it kind of made sense for us to want that objective because we wanted teens or actually participants to go through and actually click on our ads. So that's our first suggestion in terms of campaign details. So you can see here, you can add other options to it, like a campaign spending limit. We didn't set a campaign spending limit. We ended up setting a total account limit. You don't even have to set that. Personally, I think that's for people who are using multi-million-dollar ad campaigns and don't want to spend so much on a certain campaign and they want to save it for others. But that's definitely up to you. Just to keep in mind, if you do set an account budget, then and you approach the limit, you're going to have to either increase it or like adjust it somehow because Facebook won't allow you to continue sending your ads out if you're getting too close to that limit. So last time I talked about A/B testing. So that's when you can, like I said, like pit your ads against each other in the same campaign to see which one is performing best based on Facebook's like analytic strategies. So basically what it does is it evenly splits your budget and audience across the ads that you have in your campaign. I'm pretty sure it doesn't want you to do more than 3. That might have changed since we did it, but when we first did it, we only were able to use 3 different ads in one campaign. So basically, this will make sure that you have even coverage across your different ads. And then it'll analyze which one is the best using the cost per click. So that essentially is saying how much did you spend on your ad for how many unique participants actually went to the website that you inputted. So in our case, it would be a survey. So that's a cool option that you can utilize. You definitely don't have to. If you don't do it, Facebook will figure out on its own which one of your ads is running the best, and it may allocate some of your budget into that ad rather than evenly splitting it across all of them that are in a certain campaign. So that's definitely up to you if you want to make sure that it's even across your ads. And so the last step of this campaign settings is setting your budget. So some data that we found said that a minimum budget of like $20 to $40 is good for each day and getting like a good amount of engagement on your ads. So if you have the ability to put in $40 a day, we definitely suggest that. You can go lower though. You might find that you have less engagement in your ad, but it's definitely up to you and up to your budget. And then the other settings that we have in here is choosing the lowest cost. So we can see if we edit this, you can choose different settings for this. This would mean that you set a cost limit. So you don't want your daily budget to go or not your daily budget. You don't want your ads to go above a certain cost. I'm not really sure how that would be a better option other than the lowest cost, and as well as with the bid cap. But I'm sure if you find that one of those three settings is better for you, you can definitely utilize one of those, but we definitely suggest using the lowest cost setting. And then another thing you can add is running a schedule. So I think last time we talked about if you run the ads on certain times of the day. And this is where you would be able to edit your schedule for specific times of the day, and it would automatically run your ads during only those times of the day. The only caveat for this is that you have to set a lifetime budget in order to actually edit this. So that's up to you if you want to set a lifetime budget for your campaign or if you want to keep it open. And for us, we were able to just manually turn the ads on and off whenever we wanted to. So we didn't have to do this ad scheduling, but it is definitely helpful if you want it to be more automated. So the next setting you would go to is looking at the ad set. So this is basically the settings for all of the ads you have in a certain campaign. So here we chose the website as our traffic because we wanted participants to go to our URL link for our RedCap survey. And then, so this setting is if you say didn't create your ad image on Canva and you wanted to create it in the Facebook Manager platform, you can definitely do that. As any of you who might have logged into Facebook Manager know, it's kind of a hard to understand website. So we definitely suggest using something that's a little bit more user-friendly like Canva to create your ads, but you can definitely use Facebook Manager if you feel comfortable editing your ads on the website. So as you can see, some settings in Facebook are constantly evolving. So for example, when I first created the ad set, this offer setting was not available to us. It seems like it's more for ads that are trying to put on sales and stuff like that rather than for our purposes. But if you feel like you want to research some of these things and that they fit into your purpose of your study, definitely I suggest looking into the Learn More or looking on the Facebook Business Manager website to see if you can find more information. So in terms of your scheduling, I definitely suggest selecting a start date that's before you actually want to start your ads. So I know that sounds like counterintuitive, but if you start your ads like a while in the future and say you get IRB approval sooner than you thought, you might have to wait in order to start your ads if you select a start date that's too far in the future. So in order to have your ads not start running at the time and date of your start date, you'd actually just go into, I'm just gonna hop out of this screen for a second and show you all this on and off button. So this is under your like campaigns tab. If you turn this off, so this is the off setting, and then this would be on. If you turn it off, your ads will not run until that switch is turned on. So it doesn't matter that your start date is, say, tomorrow. If you don't have a IRB approval tomorrow, your ads will not run until you turn this on. And that way you can publish your ads on the Facebook Manager platform and see if they'll get approved. So like we were talking about earlier, we want to make sure that your ads are actually going to run. Say you have more than 20% on your image, or you're not sure if they're going to be approved, and being able to publish the ads before you actually want to run them is definitely key. Also, it takes around like 24 to 48 hours for the ads to actually be reviewed by Facebook and approved. So definitely suggest trying to review and publish before you want to actually turn your ads on. So going back into our settings. So in terms of creating an end date, for our purposes, we don't want an end date because we weren't sure how long it was going to take for us to run these ads and get all the participants we wanted. If you set an end date, like a hard end date, you won't be able to turn your campaign back on. So you'll have to duplicate it and then republish it. Definitely did that at the beginning. So if you feel like you like your campaign settings and you like the ads that you have and you don't want to change anything, I would definitely not set a hard end date. And like I said earlier, you could just turn your campaigns on and off. So in a sense, like that is your end date by just turning it off and not turning it back on again. So this is another part where you can add a spending limit. So in terms of our campaign, we didn't have to add that because we had that lifetime budget of our ending. Like we didn't want to spend over a certain amount on our account. So you can definitely edit this and it may maximize your like spending limit to control on the ad set itself. So in terms of creating an audience, this is what we talked about last time, where you can get really creative with it if you want. So for our purposes, we wanted to include the location in the United States only. So if you wanted to do worldwide, you could definitely do that. And you can also exclude certain things. So you can exclude like age ranges or genders or regions of the United States or the world. But instead of excluding, we just decided to do the include. But you can definitely do whichever way works best for you. And also the kind of cool thing about this locations feature is that you could target specific regions. So say you wanted to, we're in Providence, Rhode Island. So say we wanted to only target people ages 18 to 65 in Providence, like we could create that specific campaign. You can target specific genders, you can target demographics, languages, and even further, you can go in and find, page likes, like I was saying before. Did they like your page specifically? Did they use apps? And there's tons of different settings that you can use. So after you create your audience, you can save it under a certain name, whatever you decide works best for you. And then even after your ads are running, and say you want to adjust your audience, you can do that after you publish your ads. So for example, at some point in our study, the first time around, we found that we were getting less 13 to 14-year-olds enrolled compared to 15 to 17-year-olds. So we decided to target specifically 13 to 14-year-olds. And so we adjusted our audience in that specific campaign without having to republish it. So that was pretty handy. And then the next thing you can do is choose your placement. So this is where Paula was talking about before, where you can choose like feed versus stories. So like she said, if you do decide to do feed and stories, you'll have to upload 2 different images because they do have different aspect ratios. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to select multiple different placements for your ads. So you can do automatic placements. That's what Facebook is recommending to you. And so that essentially means that it's going to choose where it gets placed. We kind of wanted to have a little bit more control over it. So that's why we selected Instagram only, and then only wanted to post it on the Instagram feed as well as the I think you can see here, Instagram feed and then the Instagram Explore page. So you can definitely choose different options for that. You can post it in Facebook Messenger, Facebook, and many different places. So you can definitely look around and see which would be best for your ads. And you could select all of them if you like, as long as your aspect ratios are aligned with what it needs. And then in terms of optimization and delivery, for us, we chose link clicks, but there's also another new option that we didn't have before called landing page views. So this may be a good option for people who are trying to recruit because it actually optimizes your ad delivery for people who are more likely to load the page itself. So link clicks are for people who click on links in ads, but maybe they don't go to the actual page and browse on it. But landing page views is for people who have like opened up the web page and utilized it. So that might be an option that you look for. If you don't want to get so specific with your audience, you could just click link clicks. It's definitely up to you. In terms of cost control, we didn't want to adjust this because we weren't sure exactly what number to put in order to get the best option. So we just kind of left it blank, but you can look into that as well. And then in terms of when you get charged, so this is what I was talking about last session, where you might have to spend some time or a certain amount of money running your ads in order to change when you get charged. So we have spent quite a bit of money on our campaigns. So it allows us to select the per link click charge. But when you first start out, it might charge you per impression, which is not ideal for people like us because we want people to actually go to the page. And so if we're charging per impression, that's just charging people or charging us on when people see the ad ourselves rather than click on it. So definitely I would suggest keep an eye out for when you can edit this function under the ad sets. And if you can change it at some point, then I definitely suggest altering it to per link click. And I think I saw a message. Oh, okay. So now moving on to the ad settings themselves. So let me show you. This is one of our best performing ads from our study called Connect 19. So as you can see here, this is what I was talking about, where our Facebook page technically says impact still, but our Instagram account, we changed it to say Connect 19 and have the right logo. So that's something that you could set up properly the first time if you have one name for your study. We changed midway. So here you can change the name of your ad to make sense to you, and then select the page that you want to post it on, your Instagram account that you want to post it on. And then here's where you can select the type of image you're going to be uploading. So when I was talking about earlier that there's more than one image that you can scroll between, as you can see here, we have 2 images that people can scroll between, and that constitutes as like a carousel image. And then under the ad creative, this is where you can upload the image that Paula created on Canva. So you just edit the each of these functions by clicking that button, and then you'll want to like upload. So since I already have an image, it's saying change, but you can upload the video because we have a moving feature and audio content. We'll have to upload a video instead of it just a still image. And then here is where if you say decided to edit your image on Facebook itself, you could add the headline and any other text on the image rather than what we did, which was just upload the videos and then just put them on to the account in the right order. So you have to do that for both your Instagram and then your Instagram Explorer and then feed, because that's what we decided we wanted to post it on. And then here's where we selected our text for the caption. So you can see that the caption also has the same text that's on the images itself. That's definitely an option that you don't have to do, but we decided that we wanted our participants to be able to see the information on the images in multiple different ways. And then you can add your link to your survey in the see more or learn more, whatever your call to action is. And you can also add in a display link. So I think that shows up as like a extra pop-up when scrolling online that will like encourage people to click on the link even more so than before. And then here's where you can select your call to action. So we decided to choose learn more, but there's a lot of different options. Maybe apply now could be something that's interesting, or contact us, whatever you find fits best with your study. We just thought that learn more would be the best for us. And then in terms of tracking, so this is if you decide you want Facebook to track whether or not people have loaded your website. So if you set this up, you'll have to enter some specifications in. We decided that we didn't need Facebook to see if people loaded our Qualtrics app or our RedCap link, so we didn't set this up, but it's definitely an interesting option if you want to be able to see those types of interactions on your ad. So that was a lot of talking, but I think that I've gone through most of our settings, and so we can open it up for questions right now. So I'll keep my screen shared, but
it looks like we have one in the chat. It says, how does the study pay for the campaign? Does Facebook charge the grant directly, or does a credit card need to be attached to the Facebook account?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you do need to attach a credit card. So unfortunately, that's the only way to get around that. And so what we had to do is attach the credit card and then reimburse the PI who was paying for it. Unless you can have a business credit card, that could work out well if that's an option for you, or say like a center card. If you are a part of a center, that could be another good option.
I wanted to throw something in. So my name's Charlotte. I work at the same Center for Digital Health as Emily and Paola. And Emily has been helping me set up Facebook Ad Manager. And one thing that I was running into right now is that because I started it as a new campaign and as a new business, Facebook is like, it won't let me change to charge per click. So it's under the impressions now. And from what I was reading about it, it's like a time thing. Like it might be how much you spend, but it's also like, they want to make sure that you are a legit business and not doing anything for like weeks before they'll let you switch it. So that's just something like, I don't know if you could get around that by like setting it up really early and then it just like shows that it has existed for a while, but that might be something for people to try out.
Right, and it's even more tricky because the page that you're going through has been set up for like years now, actually. So I think maybe the fact that we've never run ads from that page, even though it's been like an established business page for a long time, like Facebook wants to make sure that you're gonna stick around for a while before you can optimize your charge. So that's kind of like an unfortunate side of it. In terms of like what you actually get charged like for if you choose impressions. Like we have run with impressions and don't feel like we got super overcharged. But once we did change to per link click, it seems like our ads were getting like better optimization. So definitely, like I said to Charlotte, like keep an eye out for when you can change it. And hopefully it'll be after a certain amount of money or a certain amount of time. That's not too long from when you start.
And do you have any suggestions off of your experience of like best times to run ads, or like does it just depend, or any thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the population that you're trying to target. And there's lots of like published like blogs, almost not a lot of peer-reviewed journals on the best times to advertise, because I think it's constantly changing. So it's really hard to pinpoint exact times. We found like for some like maybe adults check Instagram and Facebook around like 12 p.m. on weekdays. I'm not sure if targeting your ads at that specific time would be the best idea. Like for me, I think having a longer period of time so that you can target more people in different time zones across a certain amount of time that you're willing to run your ads for. I think that kind of is up to you. When we started out, we ran our ads for a full week and tried to figure out if there were any patterns for how often we got surveys or enrollments. We found like for teens that Friday through Monday morning worked out best for us. We think maybe because they were in school, so they weren't able to check their phone and take a long survey. So running it on the weekends made sense in terms of our study population, but it's also inconsistent because sometimes we would run it during the week and we would get good feedback and good engagement. So I'm not really sure if there is like a best time to run it. It's definitely up to you as a study team, and you can test it out to see which days you get the best cost per click, or you can see which days you get the most link clicks. Something that I didn't show is the settings on your campaign page. So here you can see I've actually chosen the lifetime bar, I guess, the setting where you can see how much I've been utilizing these ads across the entire time that I've sent them out. So you can see that we've gotten quite a good amount of reach and impressions per each ad campaign. And then you can see the best cost per link click over here. So let's see, like this ad that says help us learn has definitely the best cost per link click. And then we can go into the ads themselves and see which one was performing the best. So we can see that this one here actually had the lowest cost and then the highest amount of reach and impressions, because in terms of this campaign, we didn't select the A/B testing. We wanted Facebook to essentially choose which one is the best. And that's why it showed this ad to more people rather than showing the other two in this particular campaign. So that's a benefit of not choosing the A/B testing, but definitely up to you, whichever works best. And then in this first campaign page, you can select which of these columns you want to show. So you can customize it for whatever you want. And as I was going through with Charlotte before, there's a bunch of different metrics for measuring like the number of clicks you get, the number of like cost per 1,000 people. You can choose a lot of different options on this page if you want to see those metrics to figure out which of your campaigns or which of your ads are performing best. And you can download all of this information and report it if you like at the end of your study. But this information like stays here for you to look at.
Any other questions?
Yes, hi. Thank you, ladies, for putting together this presentation, especially for doing last week and this week. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and hosting these seminars. I had a quick question about the Instagram advertisements and recruitment. So I remember how you said that we could do 24 hours on a story update for a study. I know that there's a new feature on Instagram where you can add highlights where your stories are now posted onto your main Instagram page. If you were to, which once you do that, it sort of stays forever, or as long as you would like it on your Instagram page. If you were to transfer your 24-hour story onto your Instagram highlights, would you still be able to embed that same link after the 24 hours? Or does that link go away and you have to, the story sort of advertisement will still be there, but the link will no longer be there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think when we think about like Instagram, like conventionally, it functions a little bit different when you're on the business manager side of it. So like for example, when you're posting a story, it's all like from this end. So it's kind of like you turn it on because you created a campaign for that. And then once that campaign turns off, it goes away. Like it's not on your, like, so if you were to go to my Connect 19 study Instagram page right now, you wouldn't see any of these ads because I don't have any of them actively running. So something that Charlotte brought up when we were talking about her campaign is that with her limited budget, she wanted to be able to post on her own for free. So that's definitely an option you could do. The only issue is that you're only reaching your followers. So unless you have people with great followings sharing your stories or sharing your posts, you wouldn't get as much engagement with them. If you do have a good following on your own business account, I think that would be a really great option, and it would save you a lot of money too. But that's the only difference, is that one, you'd have to like post it as if you were a user rather than a manager or a business. And then you'd have to make sure that you have a good following.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Of course.
I actually have a question, Emily, and I think thank you, Selena, for bringing this up, because I feel like Instagram now that with the updates, there's a lot of a bunch of different features, right? So when you post these ads or when you post this ad campaign, would they appear only on folks like feed, or would something like this appear on a folks like Explorer page where it's a lot of like, just random content that you might engage with?
Yeah, so we actually selected for feed and explore page in our placements options. So it does show up wherever you select it. And the cool thing about the Instagram explore page is that it shows you individual users posts that they have like friends that or followers that have liked similar posts, or maybe have engaged with similar posts, or maybe they engaged with those posts, similar posts to yours in the past. So this kind of amplifies our target objective, because we're targeting teens or participants who have engaged with ads in the past, and then the Instagram Explore page like targets those who have looked at similar ads in the past. So that may be a really good option for us. And there is a way to look at whether or not somebody saw your post from the Instagram Explorer versus feed. So if you're curious about which one's working better, you could definitely download that data on that first page that I was talking about with the campaign columns. I'm not sure if you can have it report like on this page, but you can definitely like create a report that has that data on it. But yeah, that's a really good question.
I know we only have 10 minutes left, so if we're going to open up the space, if folks have any ads that they would like feedback on from everyone here, I'm actually going to allow anyone to share their screen in case they would like to, or if there's any other questions.
Yeah, and I'll actually stop recording now if we want to have people show their ads, so there's no recording of your ads. So I'll pause.